Hi there and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be talking about the assessment objectives in GCSE Photography. I've got 4 slides to talk you through, and each slide deals with one of the different assessment objectives that we'll be using in our GCSE in photography. The first one is AO3, and this is recording ideas, observations and insights relevant to intentions as work progresses. To do this, it's all about taking your own photographs. So start by taking at least 30 photographs of whichever theme your teacher has asked you to explore. Print these out onto a contact sheet, or if you're using Google Classroom, put them into a Google slideshow. Annotate your contact sheet and then pick the best 4 from that photo shoot and then put those as a best 4. You may wish to then edit those and experiment in Photoshop or Photopea with different ways of presenting them. And then once you've done that, you'll be required to take another series of 30 photographs and possibly even a third series. To get a level 4 or 5 or level 5, you need to be competent and consistent in your ability to record your own observations, things that you have seen and taken photos of yourself. They need to make them personal to you and relevant to your theme. It's advisable also to go to an art exhibition if there is one available nearby, and take photographs of the artwork you see there. The key words we're looking for when marking your AO3 is informed, purposeful, secure, engaging, skillful and thoughtful. And that should hopefully get you onto the road for your next piece. Next up, we'll be looking at assessment objective 2. And to do this, it's all about artists. We're going to be refining our work by exploring ideas, selecting, experiment with appropriate media, materials, techniques and processes. We recommend you look at least 3 or 4 artists that are inspired by your chosen theme. Your teacher may have provided you with some to look at, or you may have to use the internet and search them for yourself. You need a small amount of information about who the artist was, but most of the time should be writing your opinion about what you have discovered in their artwork. For example, the form. What is the artwork? What is the size and scale? What materials have been used to create the artwork? What is the genre of the artwork, i.e. portrait or landscape, etc.? Context. When was it made? Is the artwork to respond to anything such as war, politics, or other social, historical, contemporary issues? How do you know this? Content. What is the main theme of the artwork? Process. What materials have been used? Mood. How does the work make you feel? How does the scale, colour, shape, texture, or theme of the work affect the mood? To do well in this, you need to make sure you have got competent and consistent ability to experiment with different media, materials and techniques. You need to produce your own responses to the artist's work using your own photographs. Review and reflect on these with your annotation about how you made them, the composition of the photographs, and use screenshots of Photoshop or Photopea to discuss the processes used. You need to be refining your work by exploring ideas, selecting and experimenting with appropriate media, materials, techniques and processes. Again, this will be presented in your sketchbook, or if you're using Google Slides, on slideshows in your Google slideshow. To do this, there's some examples at the bottom of the screen here. Next is the possibly hardest one of all the assessment objectives to get the best marks for. It's AO1. AO1 is all about ideas, developing ideas through investigations, demonstrating a critical understanding of their sources. So what we recommend you do for this is create at least 3 ideas as initial ideas with drawings, develop at least 2 of these, and eventually create one final idea. When you're creating your initial ideas, you need to talk about what it is going to be about. So tell the teacher or your examiner what it is a photograph of or a series of photographs, and that's called composition. Talk about the size of the photographs. Is it A3, A4, A5? Again, that is a compositional thing. Is it to be viewed as a landscape or as a portrait? Again, looking at composition. Is this part of being manipulated, cut into, repeated or modified? So we're looking at form and texture in this sense. What have you included and what and why? That's the content of the photograph. What is the foreground, middle ground and background? Again, looking at the composition of your pieces. Is it relate to the theme? Make connections to the artists you've looked at. In particular, try and combine different artists together to create different ideas using different themes from different artists' work. How are you trying to make the viewer feel? Talk about the mood of the picture. What's the primary subject matter? What is the purpose of the photographs? The context? Is it excitement, intrigue, confusion? What photographs have you looked at? Again, making those connections in your ideas and annotating it. To get a decent grade for this, you need to be competent, at least competent and consistent with your ideas, understanding the context and sources that have informed them. Your ideas are investigated by linking them to your own photographs and artist researches. Write a statement of intent about what you plan on doing when you come to make it. And again, you need to be informed, purposeful, secure, engaged, skillful, thoughtful, and cohesive to get these kind of grades. And lastly is the final piece. Now, in photography, you may do an exam, in which case it will be 10 hours of unaided time. You will not be able to get any help from your teachers. You'll be working on your own on whatever ideas you have been creating. You might spend most of the time editing in Photoshop, or you might spend lots of time manipulating in real life images. When you make your final piece, you will showcase your journey and all your skills you have learned. You'll include links to the artists you've researched, exhibitions you've visited, and your final piece will be made up of your own photographs. You'll have a competent and consistent ability to create meaningful, informed, and personal responses to the theme. Your final piece will demonstrate an understanding of visual language through the use of the formal elements. So you can see some of the examples here. They have been created using different techniques and different purposes. This one is a three-dimensional model, and each layer in here is an acetate sheet which has been printed on and then created in this metal frame, which creates the whole illusion of depth looking through a flower as it goes from a bud all the way through to a rose, which is really exciting. This example here, string has been used and it has been sewn into the photograph in a really clever embroidery way to create a different response to the theme of the project. And on this one you can see a life cycle of a flower, and it's been adapted, modified and refined, and different elements have been added. So you can see there's 5 different photographs, all different edits going on in this piece. And in this piece they've added LED lights as part of their image. They printed it out, created a frame and a box, and presented it with LED lights in it. Now you can see each of these is completely different, and there are many different ways to explore your final pieces. The best thing to do is when you are developing it, try out as many different ways as you can. Ask people around you, ask your teacher what they think of them, and they will instantly think of suggestions of ways to improve them. By the time you get to your exam, you should know exactly what you want to make and have planned your time accordingly. So you know that in the first day, you may be doing part of the editing and how you put it all together so that you end up with this really clever final piece. Okay, thank you for watching, and hopefully I've explained all the assessment objectives clearly and concisely. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.